talking about?
Those guys said it did happen.
Oh, well, you ain't talk to them.
You weren't in the meeting,
I don't recall.
or you don't want to.
I don't recall.
I don't recall. It's crazy. Did it happen? Did it not happen? Now I'm confused. We're all confused.
Look, he's so ready. Look at him.
Well, let me say this, and this is where my qualifications kick in. And I'm going to say this to any player out there. You can do that. That's fine because, again, Saquon and I think Jalen acknowledged that they met. Nick Sirianni acknowledged that the three of them, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, had met. That's what teammates do and all of that stuff. You don't have to comment, Cam. You don't have to comment, RC. You know that. But when you say stuff like you don't recall or you're willing to omit or you're willing to lie, listen, A.J. Brown's a good dude. I ain't questioning his character by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying when you do that, you put people in position covering the team to say what they want. Let me tell you what I used to do, RC and Cam. I would go up in locker rooms, right? And I'd ask you a question. And if you came to me with that kind of answer, I'd literally smile in your face. And I'd say, so you're giving me the license to speculate. Sure you want to do that? You sure you want to go that route? You know what I'm saying? And I'd look the athlete right in their face. I'm right here. I'm asking you. You don't have to speak. You can say no comment. You can say, yo, I can't go there. Some of the cats that I've been tightest with throughout the years, it's because if they couldn't answer, they'd be like, Steve, I can't go there. Stephen A., I can't touch that. Bam, no problem. But when you try to act like something I know happened, didn't happen, now the issue of trust comes into play. And as a result, I get to look you right in your face and say, you sure you want to leave it up to me to speculate? A.J. Brown has to be careful. And why am I qualified to say that, Cam? I've been at ESPN for years. Where did I work for 17 years, RC? Where did I work for 17 years, Cam? Right there in Philadelphia. 17 years I worked in Philadelphia. I know that city. And I'm telling you, how he handled that last night, he could smile. It could be cool. But at a pivotal moment where he needs accuracy and he needs trust and he needs his words to be believed, he's going to run into a problem because of a moment like that. Floor's y'all's.
Yeah, see, I guess I don't get what you think is going to come from answering that way. When you obviously know when the reporters come to you or the media comes to you and says and to ask you about a meeting that you know you had, it's because they already know you had it. Right? If your old lady walking up to you with your phone and she asks you, why is you texting old girl? She already know you texted her. You can't say I don't recall then. You got to give an answer. So when they come up to you after the game and they ask you that question, you have to get an answer. You can give the answer and say, you know what? I don't want to talk about that meeting.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter that we had that meeting. Or what goes on between my teammates and I is not your business. But to say I don't recall something that happened that week, whether it didn't or it did happen, is now you playing in the face of the media. And this is what I know. When you play in the face of the media, they're going to mess with your life. They're going to mess with your career. They're going to make it difficult to function and maneuver within your locker room with any type of comfort. And A.J. knows that because he's been dealing with it for the last 3 years in Philadelphia. And so when you give them that opportunity, trust me, the media will take advantage of that.
Yeah, so have we thought about this? What if A.J. Brown wanted you guys to have this type of discussion? What if A.J. Brown has said, hey, I want to go on another peaceful protest? What if A.J. Brown has made it abundantly clear that he is not happy as a Philadelphia Eagle as of late? Maybe A.J. Brown has been feeling this type of way for some time, and winning has been the only mascara, blush, or eyeliner that has been able to cover up all the blemishes. And now all of a sudden you get to a point now where you're not winning no more, bro. You're not winning no more. And now you sit up here and you ask yourself, the real critters start to come out when the light hits the room. And A.J. Brown has identified and said to himself, hey, man, whether y'all wanted to have a meeting or not, I wasn't there or I checked out. So was I really there? And it calls for even more speculation because it is toxic. It is messy. But you don't have winning to be able to sweep that under the rug anymore. And now everything is coming out.
But I don't know. But, like, here's the thing. Why is A.J. Brown mad? Like, when you look at the last 4 games, 10 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets, like, outside of people like Puka Nacua, that's a lot of opportunities to go out and make plays, whether you like your route combination, whether you like your matchups, whether you like the creativity of the offense or not. So, and this isn't a target question. This isn't a happiness question. This is just like a fact question.
He only had 2 fewer targets than Dallas Goedert, who was the top pass catcher last night.
Go ahead,
And the thing that's most important is that none of us are wrong. What I said, what RC said, what you said, Cam, all can be true. The issue with A.J. Brown, however, is this. Okay, you know what? If I'm open and you're missing me, right? Well, then obviously it's going to highlight statistically opportunities that were missed because I was wide open, you didn't get me the ball. So when I'm not open, but we going to notice that, right? He wants to speak, but he wants to speak in riddles and all of that stuff. No, you got to be direct at some point. You got to man up. You're a professional athlete. You feel something, say something. If you don't want to say something, that's cool too. Say no comment. But when you do what he did, all I'm saying is you're inviting folks to speculate. And in the end, he'll end up getting burned because he didn't come out and make sure his position was cleared.
Stephen, I have a question for you.
Was clear. At some point in time, somebody's got to do that so you can find out what the hell's going on with the Eagles and fix it.
Stephen A., how much of this could be similar to what Shedeur Sanders did when he was getting so much criticism from the media and he pantomimed, right? And so now A.J. Brown, who has been getting a ton of criticism from the media as well, what if this is his way to say, I don't recall, and kind of do the same thing as if I'm not going to give you anything to talk about?
Totally valid. But the flip side is Shedeur Sanders is a QB3 trying to make it into the league. A.J. Brown is an all-world receiver who's a Super Bowl champion. And for some reason can't publicly state specifically, yo, this is one of my problem. And maybe it's for the right reasons. You don't want to call out your quarterback. Maybe it's because you don't want to call out your offensive coordinator. Maybe it's maybe it's because you don't want to just flat out say, look, I want the hell up out of here, but you want other people to figure it out so you can have plausible deniability. All of those things are relevant. All I'm trying to say is that a Cam and RC, who are obviously former players, y'all are still connected big time to them. You're going to be, and I don't say this in a negative way, you're going to be protective of the culture. If they're right, you're going to come to their defense. If they're wrong, you're going to be honest and call them out. I appreciate that from y'all. But the flip side is that it's easy to blame the media, when in fact you're not taking into account the level of culpability you as a player have because you left it up to their interpretation instead of owning it yourself. And you got to remember, anybody in the media worth their salt has sources all over the place. I assure you, Philadelphia beat writers, there are an abundance of people that are whispering in their ears. They know what the hell is up. And A.J. Brown has to figure out how to handle it for his own, I don't want to say survival, but just his own peace of mind. He's got to figure it out.
MJ, I heard you say something in regards to statistics backing, him being targeted, but I would like to kind of use the analogy of those targets being empty calories. When you have a lot of targets, but you don't have nothing more than 50 yards, that's just a scream. That's just a bubble. That's just in this game he did. Mm-hmm. But in other games, it's just been meaningless, just catches just to, kind of shun you and just hush you up. When have we had a time where we said A.J. Brown is a dominant receiver? Was it last night? Nope. Was it the week before? Nope. It was the second half of the Los Angeles Rams game where that's his type of game that he wants to play. And those games, that game was backed with yards. That game was backed with, hey, we're getting a point of emphasis to say we're going to get you the ball because we want you to take over. So those little targets, that's cool and all, but hey, I want to pop the top open and I want you to open up this offense. And he's basically saying that without saying, like, I'm not happy with the philosophy here. And it goes back to Kevin Patullo. And if it's not Kevin Patullo, it's Jalen Hurts. And I will keep saying it until people really understand.